let's take a look at what are known as p-series. P-series. What that refers to, p-series is any series that we can put into the form one over n to a p power. So that's where the p comes from. The p is the power. P for power. Makes sense? So a p-series is any series we can put into that format. 1 over n to a power. Well, we just have so happened to talk about a couple of those just now. We talked about, for example, 1 over n squared, 1 over square root of n, because why is that a p-series? Well, that's 1 over n to the 1/2, isn't it? So here p is 2, here p is 1/2. Now, what about this one? What's p on this one? That's a p-series. What's p, though? P is 3 because, yeah, that's 1 over n cubed, isn't it? Now, what would it be if I had this? P is negative 3. Yeah, because I'd want to change that over to that. So anyway, okay. So that's a p-series. P-series are going to be our friends because we know a lot about p-series. If you think about it already, we know several things about p-series. We had this one, was our first one today we talked about on this section. And that p-series, p equals 2, was convergent or not? What was p, 1 over n squared? Was that convergent? Yes, it was convergent. Whereas we had this p-series, square root of n, where p was 1/2, was divergent. And let me mention one other. We haven't talked about it today, but we have done one other p-series before. We didn't call it a p-series. But we have talked about that one, haven't we? That one we did last time. We called it harmonic series instead of a p-series, but it's also a p-series, isn't it? P would be equal to 1. And what about the harmonic? Divergent. I mention all that because, and then we saw that certainly some others that we could talk about, but are you with me here? The n power, the p of 1, is kind of the dividing point here because once we get past 1, we just did the squared one, but I think you're probably with me on this. From 1 and below, these things are going to diverge because we've got p equals 1, diverges, p equals 1/2, diverges. And if you think about it, the one I just talked about, certainly this series is going to be divergent, right? Because that's larger and larger terms. And that's p equals negative 3. So it's going to be divergent. Yeah, 1's kind of the cutoff here, isn't it? If the p of the p-series is 1 or less, the p-series diverges. If it's something bigger than 1, it's going to be convergent. We just did that one, but it'll work the same for n cubed, n to the 4th. Yeah, so here's the nice p-series rule. A p-series is convergent if p is greater than 1. And divergent if the other way. It's less than or equal to 1. Pretty nice, huh? So from here on out, if we recognize something as a p-series, 1 over n to the p power, we know if it converges or diverges. If p is greater than 1, it converges. P is less than 1, it diverges. Less than or equal to 1. Pretty nice, huh? Okay, well, how about we try some? One over n to the 8. Convergent or divergent? Convergent. Why? P series, P equals 8. P series with P equals 8. Yeah, it's kind of, it's a little bit different than the geometric, because on geometric we want the ratio between 1 and negative 1. On P series, though, we want bigger than 1. P is bigger than 1. We got convergent, to be convergent. All right, what do you got on this one? Cube root of n. That one convergent or divergent? That one diverges. Why? Well, that's a P series. P equals, what's P? P is 1/3, yeah. Cube root of n is n to the 1/3, so that's a divergent P series. One more. N to the negative 4/5. Huh? Divergent? Because we got n as P is 4/5. Okay? Yeah, this is 1 over n to the 4/5. P is 4/5. So that's divergent, isn't it? Less than 1. P series, P is less than 1. All right. Now, it is also important to recognize it going with terms written out. What is this one? You got 1, 1/8, 1/27, 1/64. Is that one convergent or divergent? Well, might want to put it up in the summation notation. What do you got? Cubes? 1 over 1 cube, 1 over 2 cube, 1 over 3 cube. Yeah, that's 1 over n cubed, isn't it? So that's a P series. P equals 3. So it diverges or converges? Converges. Yeah. P is greater than 1, so it converges.